So here we go. Let's get started here. So how to get going or get back going, right? Have you guys ever been in that position? So how to get going or get back going. I know it's kind of tough. If you're brand new, you're just trying to get started. If you've been in the business for a while, sometimes you get to where like, hey, you really need that. You kind of need that kick in the butt sometimes to get going, you know? But this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So I got a couple questions I want to start out with here. Guys, type yes. Do you want to make more money? Type yes. Yes, I want to make more money. I just want to see what everybody wants to get out of this tonight. Do you want to make more money? Type yes. Awesome. We got some yeses. We got a few. Come on, guys. I feel like every one of you guys are on here because you want to make money. Awesome. Hey, awesome, Ben. I'm at EXP too, man. Congratulations. Cool. Yes. Do you want to make more money? I think this is a big one that a lot of agents want. Do you want to take back your schedule? If this is you, type yes, I want to take back my schedule. I want to take back my time. Guys, I see it in the real estate business all the time, and I'm guilty of it myself. I mean, a few years ago, I had a big team. I was working 7 days a week, as close to 24 hours a day as I could possibly stand. I'm pretty sure I had a stomach ulcer. I'll tell you this. I felt like I was too busy to be sick. Have you guys ever been like that? You felt like you were too busy to be sick. You had too much to do. If you were sick, everything was going to stop. Do you want to take back your schedule? Yes, I want to take back my schedule. And the last thing here, do you want a stronger mindset? Do you want an unstoppable mindset? You know, I feel like most of the time, us as real estate agents, the market doesn't defeat us. The competition doesn't defeat us. What defeats us is what's in our own head, right? Lots of times when we get stuck, when we're having problems getting started, I feel like it's not the market. Guys, I'll tell you guys this. I've been in the business 14 years in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I've been in the business when the market was going up, when it was going down, when it was sideways, when it sucked, when you didn't really know what it was doing. Felt like it was going up some days, and the next day, you know, you see a house pop up on the market $30,000 cheaper. You know, yeah, I've been in all the markets, and I made money in all of them, which is crazy. But one of the things that changed in each market was my mindset changed a lot. That was the biggest change that happened. My mindset, the way I looked at it, everything, my perspective on what was happening in the market. Man, I'll tell you guys this. I keep hearing agents panicking a little bit about the shift. Guys, I'll tell you, when the shift comes, if you're positioning yourself right and you're doing what you're supposed to do every day, you can pick up massive ground and you can actually take market share, right? A lot of agents that build their skill set now and build that tough mindset today, when we have the shift, the market slows down, we have the market correction, those agents are going to literally crush it. Guys, you guys that are working hard right now, building your mindset, building your skill set, all those things, you're going to crush it when the market slows down a little bit, when we have that market correction. So guys, those things, that's the foundation of what my coaching program is. I focus on mindset, I focus on making money, and I focus on things that are going to take back your schedule. So guys, let's get started here. So 5 things, I believe there's 5 things that we all have to accept if we want to get out of the rut, get back going, and just have a more successful career. We want to get to the next level. There's 5 things I think we all have to accept, and I'm going to tell you what these 5 things are, then I'm going to tell you what we can do about them. So I'll tell you the 5 things first, then we'll go back and we'll go through each one, and we'll talk about what to do about those things. So number 1, you know, guys, I think this is one of the hardest things in the real estate business is we get bored. You know, raise your hand on Facebook. Give me a thumbs up if sometimes you just get bored. You know, you've been showing buyers property all week and a new buyer lead comes in, even though they're a cash buyer, you're like, ah, Jesus, I just don't want to do it, man. I just, I just don't want to do it. We all get bored. I think that's one thing that happens to every single one of us. I think this is why a lot of agents sometimes are jumping around and they're trying all these different strategies and they're trying all these different market things. It's not because something didn't work lots of times. It's just because, hey, they got bored making phone calls. They got bored making phone calls, so they started doing Facebook ads and they realized like 2% convert. You know what I mean? But I think we all get bored sometimes. Number two, we all get complacent. I'll tell you what, there was a real estate agent last year. He's in my group coaching program. Great guy. He was brand new in the business, and he was out there working hard. He was taking listings and just had things. It was just he was just all of a sudden 1 month he made like $90,000. Brand new real estate agent, like 22, 23 years old, made $90,000 in a month. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I was 22 years old, and I had my like first big months where I made like serious money, like more money than my friends were making in a year. Dude, it was insane, but I still didn't make $90,000 a month at 22. And anyway, I knew he was working real hard. Then it was like all of a sudden I didn't hear from him for a little while, right? What happened was he kept looking at the 90 grand in his bank account. And what he kept doing was like, I don't really have to make calls today. I don't really have to work today. Things are going to be okay. We all do that. We've been closing 2 or 3 a month, and all of a sudden we get 5 or 6 pending, and we go, we can coast. We can pump the brakes a little bit, right? I think we all get complacent. Number 3, we all have days we don't want to do what we're supposed to be doing. That's one of those things I think we can all agree. Say, I agree. Say, I agree. Hey, 50,000 a month, Kim. That's nothing to, that's a big month too. But we all have days. Type I agree if you have this. We all have days where we just don't want to do. We know we're supposed to be doing it, but you know what? The weather's really nice outside. It's the summer. The kids are out of school. We here in Myrtle Beach, we go to the beach. We go to the beach and hang out. We could go. I mean, we got the intercoastal water. We have so much stuff we can do here in the summer months, especially. So it's tough to be inside. We have those days where we know what we need to be doing. We know what we should be doing. We know what we're supposed to be doing, but the weather's really nice, and just, hey, it's the summer. We can take time, and you know what? A lot of us say this. A lot of us say, "Oh, well, we deserve a little bit of a break. We worked hard the last 2 days." Some of us. Oh, we worked hard for 3 hours this morning. We deserve the afternoon off, right? But we all have days. We need to accept that. We all have days that we don't want to do what we're supposed to be doing. Number 4, guys. I think this is one that that I think we all kind of suffer from this. Sometimes we just get stuck, right? We're in a routine. We're doing, some of us doing 10, 15 deals a year. Some of us doing 30, 40 deals a year, but we get stuck, right? We get stuck in that same routine. We're not really going up. We're not really going down. We're just kind of stuck. And, it's kind of like we're in a rut. I grew up, my granddad was a Baptist preacher, and one of the things he used to say about being in a rut, I remember he had this sermon that he preached, and I remember one Sunday, and one of the things he talked about was being in a rut. And he said the only difference between a rut and a grave is both ends are kicked out. And that's one of the things that I remember him saying when I was a kid. But and I think we all get in that. We all get in that routine, where you're going home every day. As soon as you get home, you throw on some sweatpants and turn on the TV, and and that's your afternoon. You know what I mean? We all get stuck, and we do this in our business too. We all get that routine, and we know we could be doing more, and we just don't do it. We just stick with what we're at. I'm going to tell you guys what to do with that too, or what I've done that gets me out of that. A lot of these strategies are going to fit with all 5 of these things, but number 5, I think, is something that we're all guilty of, and number 5 is we let negative shit in our lives. we let negative shit in our lives, and it's hard to escape it sometimes. Sometimes we have no choice. Sometimes negative shit looks for us. How many times have you had that to happen? Raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like sometimes like, damn, I just can't get a break this week. I can't get a break. Negative. It's like you don't even have to go look for anything bad. It's coming to you. Deals falling apart, car breaks down, flat tire, whatever it is. I think we all have that too. So guys, I think the most important thing isn't that we have it, it's what do we do about it, because we're going to have it, right? We're going to have those things. The first one, let's get through this. What do we do about all this? What do we do about it? What do we do about boredom? I think for me, I'll tell you guys, I think for me, boredom has been one of the things that, like, sometimes, like, I've switched different things. I've looked at different lead types. I went from doing a lot of short sales, trying to do foreclosures, I've done a lot of different things in the real estate business. And one of the reasons I think that I've done it sometimes is, hey, I got bored. You know what I mean? And guys, I think one of the biggest struggles in the real estate business is repetitious boredom. Like when you first get started, we all remember this. When you first get started, and you get that first approved buyer in your car and you're going and unlocking doors and you've never really seen a whole lot of houses in your market, or you're looking at $500,000 homes, $1 million homes, depending on what your market is. You're looking at $1 million homes, and honestly, you've never been inside of one until you show that buyer you think's qualified, right? It's exciting. Then after you show that 20th house in a weekend, you've shown that 500th house or whatever it is, it just isn't exciting anymore. You know what I mean? How many of you guys have went through that? I mean, I think the biggest struggle in the real estate business is fighting repetitious boredom. I mean, some of you guys, their agents out there super successful making calls. Their agents super successful doing houses, and it's fun at first, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I got to blow up another balloon. Right? That's the biggest struggle in the real estate business. Now, here's the thing for me. I'm gonna share some things here with you about me personally. I don't get excited. I've been in the real estate business 14 years. Between my own production and team production and stuff like that, I've been personally involved in about 2,000 transactions. I don't get excited about selling another house anymore. I mean, it just doesn't excite me. I remember when Laura's been in the real estate business about 3 years. And when she first got in the real estate business, I remember her getting like so excited about a listing, and and that week I had taken 2 or 3, and she go, "You're not even excited about it." And I go, "Yeah, but this is like listing number 1,000 something." It just I took a listing today, and she was talking to me when I was driving there, and I called her like 30 minutes later, and she goes, "You already done?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I listed the property. I already got pictures and everything." And she goes, "Wow, you're not excited about it?" I go, "Not really. I mean, yeah, I guess, but I don't really get excited about the house anymore. I get excited about my goals. I really get excited about my goals. I get excited about what that one listing, that one extra listing, that 2 listings, right? is going to do for my goals. Like, where is that going to get me? And I think that's the problem a lot of agents have, is they don't have goals to get excited about, or their goals aren't big enough to get excited about. And that's one of the things I believe. I believe we have to have big goals. We got to have big goals. And the reason is number one, small goals suck, right? Nobody gets excited. I'll tell you this, nobody gets excited about making just enough money to pay the light bill. I mean, maybe you do the first time, right? Maybe you get excited about it the first time. Maybe you get excited about it, when you were able to quit your job and go into real estate full time. Maybe you get excited about it then. that, oh man, I'm making enough, I can pay all my bills and have a little bit left over, and we can go to dinner, I can buy myself something nice or something like that, right? But after you've been doing that 2 or 3 months, and you just barely paying your car payment, barely paying all your stuff, your house payment or anything, it kind of gets a little bit old, you know? Small goals suck, you know what I mean? And another reason we need to have it is big goals are motivating. You know, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about setting goals here. Um, but a big thing about setting a big goal and working through the numbers and working through the process on how you're going to get to that goal is motivation, right? Motivation going, hey, if I can sell 50 houses this year, I can buy that new Lamborghini. If I sell 50 houses this year, I can do this. If I sell X number of houses, I can do that. You know, if I can make $250,000, right? I think that's a big number for a lot of agents if they can make $250,000. And guys, lots of times when we think about these goals, I'll tell you this, lots of times we'll talk about a goal, or an agent, I've heard agents talk about goals, and they go, oh, I could never get to $500,000. The reason they can never get to $500,000 or they can't get excited about a goal of $500,000 is because they never work the numbers backwards. They never work the numbers to figure out what it's really going to take to get to $500,000. Let me ask you guys this. You guys on Facebook, you guys on Zoom, have you ever looked at a big goal like that? Let's say your goal is, let's just say $100,000 a year, right? Have you ever seriously sat down with a pen and notebook paper and figured out what it's going to take you to make $250,000 this year? How many clients do you need to have? How many listings do you need to take? How many qualified buyers do you need to work with? How many sales do you need at the average sales price? Have you ever really went and done that? If your goal is $100,000, have you ever just worked the numbers on $250,000, right? Or if your goal is $250,000, have you ever worked the numbers on $500,000? You know, sometimes if we're tracking our numbers, and that's one of the things I talk about in my group coaching a lot, if you're tracking the numbers, it's easier to plan that way, right? But that's the second reason. I believe it's motivating. I believe it adds motivation. It's hard to get excited about driving a 1992 Ford Focus. If your goal is just to have a car that runs, just to have a red car, right? You don't care whether it's a Mercedes, a Mustang, or whatever it is. All you care about is a car that runs. I mean, you get a 1982, Cutlass that runs, If that's what your goal is, it's hard to get excited about that. It's hard to want to go get up in the morning and want to keep working towards a goal that, really, really sucks, It's hard to get excited, So, guys, I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says that there's 3 different kinds of goals. There's 3 different kinds of goals that we have. And the first type is time-focused goals, and I believe that we need to have these things. And I believe we need to go back and we need to review them. One of the things that keeps me going every single day, there are days that I feel bad. This morning it was raining. It sucked. It stormed. I stayed up late last night watching Goliath on Amazon, and I just couldn't quit watching the next episode, right? But I still got up. I still got up at 6:30 this morning. And the reason why I got up at 6:30 this morning is because I reviewed my goals yesterday. I got up this morning. I looked at my goals again and said, hey, for me to get where I want to be this week, I got to go do this, this, and this. And if I don't get my ass out of bed, I'm not going to be able to do it. I think that a lot of real estate agents, I think that they don't have that sort of relationship with their goals. I don't think that they're ever looking at their goals, right? I don't think they're ever looking at their goals. I don't think they're ever really going. Sometimes they write them down. They sit through, some of these brokerages have amazing goal setting classes, right? They sit through an all-day goal setting class. They write down all these things. They stick it in a notebook, and they never look at it again. I think that's one of the big things that agents do. Or they set all their year goals, but they don't really break them down into daily and weekly activities. Guys, I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning last night watching a show on Amazon. It doesn't really matter. I could have watched it today. I could have spread it out over a couple of weeks. What I watched last night, I'm sure. But guys, I still got up at 6:30 because I knew that if I didn't get my ass out of bed and get going this morning, then I wouldn't get my weekly goals and get to do what I feel like I need to do this week. How many of you guys did that? How many of you guys do that daily? How many of you review your goals daily? The next thing we need to have, the next type of goals Jim Rohn talks about is he talks about big goals. Now, these are the big things. These are the long-term things. These are the things that, sometimes they might seem like if you told other people about them, they're going to think is stupid, Like I said on one webinar, I said, I'd like to have an airplane. I don't have an airplane, by the way, but I said I'd like to have one. Hey, like we're planning a trip this weekend, and we're planning to drive. It's like a 5-hour drive, but man, wouldn't it be really cool if we could just walk out our back door and, there's a plane, and we just take off and fly up there, and it's like a 45-minute ride rather than a 5-hour ride. I mean, literally, we could go in the afternoon. We could fly where we're going. We could eat dinner and hang out for a few hours, and we could fly back at night if we wanted to, right? Now, that sounds like crazy, but when I first wrote something like that down and I started looking like, man, well, what would it cost me what would it really cost me to go buy an airplane like that? It really wasn't that big of a deal. Just wasn't that much money, but your goal doesn't have to be an airplane. It could be buying a house, paying off your house, owning rental property, having enough rental income that replaces the rest of your income, right? But we have to have big goals. Our big goals are the things that are going to carry us through. And it doesn't have to be financial, it could be spiritual, it could be personal, it could be all these other things. But Jim Rohn says that number 2, we got to have big goals. We got to have things that we're not going to be able to reach this year, things we're not going to be able to reach this month, things that we can't accomplish in a week. You know what I mean? Maybe you're a brand new agent. You want to be, you're at eXp Realty where I am, and you want to be the number 1 agent at eXp Realty, and you're brand new this year. You're probably not going to be able to do it in a year, right? That's a big goal. But if you put everything in place, you put all the resources in place, you look at your resources, maybe you can get there. Maybe you can get there in 3 years. Maybe you can get there in 5 years. It might take you a little bit longer, but maybe you can get there. I know Lou Holtz, one of the things that he talked about when he talked about setting big goals and having a list of goals was he said that he sat down one day and he wrote down 107 goals. And it was everything from eating dinner with the president, skydiving. There's all these things. There's a list of things that he could look forward to, right? We all need something to look forward to. It gets boring when you don't have anything to look forward to, right? And guys, these are the things that keep us going. These are the things, your goals, the things that you're going to get excited about, crossing that big trip off of your list, crossing that big goal off of your list, right? Those are the things that are going to carry you through those days when it's just boring, when it's just repetitious bullshit. Hey, there's another buyer that don't want to get approved. What do I do with them? But they want to look at 10 houses. The big goals are the things that carry you through. Taking a look at the big picture, pulling out that piece of paper, pulling up the thing on your phone or wherever you got it, Google Docs or wherever you got your goals listed, and saying, hey, if I continue to do this, and this, and I do it for just 4 more months, or I do it for 6 more months, right? I'm going to be able to cross this, and this off my list, right? I'm going to have the money or have the time or have whatever it is to cross these things off my list. Number 3, Jim Rohn talks about topic-based goals. And I think topic-based goals are pretty interesting. I think most of us, when we think about goals, we're not really, we're looking at our goals and typically we're thinking about it financially, right? I think here, at least in the United States, we think about goals and we think about it financially. We think, hey, we want to make $100,000 a year, right? We want to make $500,000 a year. We want to get promoted. We want to be a team leader. We want to be, whatever it is. We want to take that new NAR designation, right? But our goals, Jim Rohn talks about them being topic-based, having different goals, right? Having personal goals. Maybe you want to be in better health. Maybe you want to be, a better relationship with your family. Maybe you want, something, I don't know what it could be. Maybe you want to run a marathon, right? But we got to have some topic-based goals too. It can't be 100% about money. Money's exciting. I find money exciting, because when we get down to a bunch of it, I hear a lot of agents talk about, our big why. I hear a lot of entrepreneurs talk about our big why. But really, a lot of times our big why, when we look back at it and try to figure out how do we get there, the easiest way to get there is just having more money, having more resources, right? But it can't be 100% about money, because sometimes when you make more than what you're spending and you kind of have like all the toys you want for right now, it kind of gets a little bit boring, But you got to have topic-based goals. Now, one of the things that Jim talks about a lot, and I think is really smart, but it's called SMART goal planning. Have you guys ever heard of this? I'm going to go down through it real quick for you. And if you guys want to learn more, I'm just touching on the basics of this stuff because I don't want to keep you guys up to 1 o'clock in the morning. But I'm going to talk about the basics. You're welcome to go to YouTube, look up Jim Rohn, look up SMART goals, things like that. I encourage you to. It's like really worth listening to. Now, what is SMART goals? SMART goals is an acronym for specific, measurable, actionable. Now Jim says responsible for the R. I like resourcefulness. I like resourceful for the R. And I'll get to that. I'll go down through these real quick. And the last one is time bound. Now, the thing about SMART goals, and I stole this from him, and I believe he stole it from somebody else. I don't know. But I thought it was a good idea, and I think it's a great idea when you're actually looking at your goals. Number one, you have to be specific. You can't go out there and say, hey, I just want to sell more real estate. You have to be specific. How much more do you want to sell? Do you want to sell another $5 million a year, right? Do you want to sell another $1 million a year, right? What do you want to do exactly? Do you want to run a marathon? A lot of people will say they want to do something, but they don't really have a clear objective. They don't really know what they want to do exactly. You know what I mean? Jim Rohn, SMART goal planning, you got to have exactly what you want to do. I want to list 14 houses this week. I want to make $1 million this year. You got to have a real specific goal. That's number one. Number two, the M in SMART is measurable. We got to be able to measure it, right? Like I've heard agents say this before. This is a big thing with real estate agents is, hey, I want to be better on the phone. Now, guys, I can tell you how to get better on the phone. You need to learn scripts and dialogues. You need to learn, practice scripts, use the same script over and over. Once you've asked 100 sellers that same question, 1,000 sellers that same question, you're going to know all the answers to it, right? It's almost going to be like you have psychic abilities. You're going to be able to anticipate their answers before they even answer the question, right? That's how you get really good at using scripts. That's how you get really good on the phone, is being on the phone, right? Asking the same questions over and over, going through that repetitious boredom we talked about a little bit. But just saying, hey, I want to be better on the phone, it's not measurable. We have to have some value. Like, how are we going to measure getting better on the phone? Is it going to be that you set more appointments? Is it going to be that you get more listings, right? We have to have a measurable part of that goal, right? Every goal we have to be able to measure it in some way. Say a lot of people say this too. They say, oh, I want to be more fit, right? Well, I mean, there's lots of ways you can be more fit, but you got to have some way to measure that. Or do you want to lose weight? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to be able to run further on the treadmill? Do you want to be able to lift more weight? What's the measurable aspect of being fit, right? Now, number 3 is actionable. The A is actionable. What are the steps to get there? What are you going to do? If you're going to make $250,000 a year, right? Okay, so we have a specific goal, $250,000 a year. It's measurable because we're going to get commission checks, right? We just have to decide is $250,000 before the split or after the split. But $250,000 is a very measurable goal. Now we have to figure out how we're going to get there. Are we going to work with buyers or sellers or a combination of both? Okay. What are the steps? If we're going to work with buyers, where are the buyers going to come from? Where are the buyer leads going to come from? Do we have a lender we can work with? If we're going to work with mostly sellers, how are we going to get the listings? Are we going to market, which is really expensive? You know, there's typically two ways to get business. One is marketing and one is prospecting. I prefer prospecting because I can control it more. I can control my time more, and I can control the amount of money it costs me. Sometimes with marketing, you throw something out there and you hope the leads from Zillow is going to work. You hope the Facebook ads are going to work, right? I always like prospecting, but we have to figure out what are the steps, the actionable steps to get there. Now, the R in SMART. Now, Jim says responsible. And he talks about having the people that work around you, that the goal is relevant to the company. Like say, for example, you work for a real estate company and your career goal is something that don't even have anything to do with real estate, right? You're working in real estate sales, but you really want to manage property. Or you really want to do something else. You want to excel in the restaurant business, but you're in the selling real estate, right? Then according to Jim Rohn, that's not really a responsible goal. It's something that isn't in line with what you're actually doing. Now, I prefer the R to be resourceful, right? Because I believe that if we can get the resources sometimes for our goal, that's going to determine what's going to make that a realistic goal, right? If we can get enough seller leads to call, if we can figure out how to call enough sellers, then we're going to get more listings. If we call more sellers, we're going to get more listings. If we talk to more sellers, we're going to work with more sellers. It's just natural. So what resources are out there and are available to us? You know, we have RedX, which I talk about RedX all the time, and you guys in my group coaching get a discount. They waive the $150 setup fee. But we have RedX, we have Facebook Marketplace, we have Craigslist. You know, what all resources do we have to get there? You know, if you have enough resources, you can get whatever you want. Like a lot of people think resources are just money. Sometimes resources aren't money. Sometimes resources are things out there that are readily available. We just have to open up our mind and figure out where exactly they are. Now, the last thing, the T, is time bound. You know, what's the time frame you're going to do it? So let's say you want to make $250,000. That's a measurable goal. Then we'd figure out what actions we need to take. How many listings do we need to take to sell to get to $250,000, right? Now, what are the resources? Where are we going to get the seller leads? Where are we going to get the things that we need to reach that goal, right? Where are we going to get the time and the leads? That's probably our two most important things there, is time and leads, right? And then what time frame do we want to make $250,000 in? Now, if we want to make $250,000 in a year, that's fantastic. That's very doable for a lot of agents out there. You know, we can find the resources, right? The resources are available. They're easily available to make $250,000 a year. We can find those resources without a whole lot of trouble. We can work the time in our schedule. And our office, it doesn't matter what office you're at, they're going to be pretty excited about you generating $250,000 worth of commissions, or at least I hope they are, right? But we need to figure out a time frame. Is it going to be in a year? If it's going to be in a day, then guys, we better have more resources. We better have more people on the phone with us. We better have more leads, right? If it's going to be in a month, same thing. We got to figure out what other resources we need. I feel like time and resources are actually very, very connected. Time, resources, and actionable, the steps that you need to make there. If you want to make that $250,000 in a year, it's going to require certain activities every day. But if you want to make that $250,000 in a month, then you need to figure out how can you speed up those steps. Does that make sense to you guys? So guys, number two on our list, and I'm gonna get through the rest of these. I know my time is is going away very quickly. So how do we fight complacency? How do we fight that where we have those days where we just, we don't really want to get up out of bed. We got 5 listings pending. We got, 5 buyers out there that are under contract, whatever it is. And, you normally close in 2, you got 5 under contract, and you go, man, I don't have to work in the morning. Dude, I'm going to stay late. I'm watch Amazon movies and TV shows until 2 o'clock in the morning again. It's easy to get complacent, The thing that helps me fight complacency is to review my goals daily. I believe that a lot of times the reasons that agents, the agent that we talked about earlier that made $90,000 in a month, that's fantastic. Guy had a great month, But if he had a goal, and I don't know what his goal is. To be honest with you, I don't remember. And a lot of agents, if they made $90,000 in a month, dude, that's their whole year, right? We have to review our goals daily, but sometimes when we have that situation where we are ahead of our goals, we're ahead of our goals to where we're getting bored, we're getting that complacency, we got to reset our goal. There's an agent in my group coaching, and one of the questions I had asked earlier in this month was, I asked on the first, how many listings you're going to take in July? I made a post, and everybody puts their number of listings, and then they put then they go back and hit the reply button and put details throughout the month there. Now, one of the things that he had was he wanted to list 5 listings, and it was like the 8th of the month, and he'd already listed 4. Guys, if you're that far ahead of your goal, then sometimes when our daily review and our goal, we need to sit down and we need to take 10 or 15 minutes and we go, man, my goal was 5 listings this month. It's the 10th and I already got 4. We need to reset our goal. We need to look at the rest of the month, look at what we did the last few days, and we need to reset our goal, right? If it's the 10th and you've already listed 4 houses, maybe you could list 12 this month. You know what I mean? A lot of agents, though, when they see they're getting close, when they see their goal coming up and they see the finish line, the first thing they do is they slow down. They don't make calls like they're supposed to. They don't work their schedule like they're supposed to. And it happens to all of us. But if we find ourselves in that position, we need to go back and we need to reset our goals. And guys, one of the things that helps me find complacency is continuous learning. Continuous learning, listening to webinars, listening to things, reading books, listening to things on YouTube. Continuous learning, continuously learning. The last thing here that I think that we need to do to fight complacency is we need to work on being around people who want to do more, right? If all of your friends work at Chick-fil-A, and you talk to them every day and you're doing better than they are, sometimes it's really going to be hard for you you're going to level up to get to the next level. If all your friends are at the level below you, it's going to be really hard to get above them. You know what I mean? There was this story about if you put crabs in a bucket, one of the things that happened is while one of the crabs are trying to crawl out, the other ones are grabbing him and pulling back in, Guys, I think that if you want to fight complacency, I hate that whole thing. Look at the five people you're around the most and 5 people you talk to the most. But when you talk to people that are doing more than you, and you be friends with agents in your office, be in a group coaching. My group coaching, I got agents that are doing $2-3 million a month, right? But being around agents, interacting with agents that are doing more than you are doing, that want to do more than you're doing, that's infectious. It's infectious and it's motivating too. And sometimes I'll tell you the quickest way to get, if you're doing 10 deals a year and you want to get to 20, 30 deals a year, just start like every now and then, talking to the agents in your office that are doing 30 deals a year, right? It isn't going to be long until you're looking at them and you're going, man, I'm smarter than so-and-so. I'm better looking than so-and-so. I drive a nicer car, he's a dummy, You know, and you start building that mindset that, hey, man, if he can do 30 a year, I can do 30 a year, you know? But you got to be around people who want to do more. If you want to do more, you got to be around people that want to do more too. You know, number 3, what to do on days where we don't want to do what we are supposed to do. You know, what to do on days we don't want to do what we're supposed to do. Guys, I think this is a really interesting one, because if we were in any other career, if we were in any other career than this, or if we had a regular job, especially making the kind of money that most of us want to make, if we tried to work the same schedule that we work, that most of us agents work, we wouldn't have a job, right? You know, if you're at a regular job, and all of us pretty much have had some sort of regular career, profession, or job or something, you know, you're scheduled Monday through Friday. If you don't show up Monday, it's probably okay. You can come in Tuesday, you know, you call, leave a message on the answer machine or something, and come in Tuesday, and nobody says anything about you. Hey, man, I hope you're feeling better, you know? But if you don't come to work Tuesday, right? If you don't come to work Monday and you don't come to work Tuesday, then Tuesday you probably better have a doctor's excuse. If you don't come to work on Wednesday again, and you don't call, you don't do anything, you just don't show up, then on Thursday they're going to be interviewing new people for your job. However, in the real estate business, we don't show up on Monday, we don't show up on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we stop by for lunch and hang out at the office a little bit. And on Thursday, we come in at 8 o'clock and we talk about how we worked all week, right? We worked on nothing that was income producing. We did nothing we were supposed to do. We did not do one activity that's going to help us get any closer to our goals. And for some reason in the real estate business, we think that's okay. Guys, we have to have a schedule. We have to have a schedule. The schedule is going to be the things. A lot of agents I've heard say this before. They say, oh, well, I don't want to be tied to my calendar. I've actually heard that. I had an agent that tell me that they didn't want to be in my group coaching because I talked about a schedule and I talked about working your schedule, and they didn't like the idea of being tied to a calendar. Guys, if we don't have a schedule, though, if you don't write down the days that you're going to work, the days that you're going to prospect, how do you know what days you're going to prospect, right? We got to have a schedule. We got to have a written schedule that we can easily look at. We can hand to our spouse. We can hand to our significant other. We can say, hey, honey, these are the days I'm going to be working this week. Hey, I know that one of the things I talk about with creating your schedule is put your family time in, your business commitments, and then your prospecting, right? Those 3 things pretty much in that order. The number 4 is everything else. Okay, if we don't have a schedule, then we're going to get caught up in things. We're going to get caught up in like the honey-do list, right? We're going to get caught up in things, friends and family. They don't think we work. They think we're a real estate agent. We just hang out until somebody needs to unlock the door, right? How many of you guys right now are struggling with family members, friends and family killing your work day? You're planning to do something, but hey, the wife gives you the to-do list for the day, right? Guys, we got to have a schedule. We have to be able to say, hey, today is the day that I'm working. This is what I'm doing today, right? We got to have that. We have to have that. I think, too, a lot of agents I see, they get up in the morning, they don't have a schedule, they don't have a to-do list, they don't have anything to do, and they just kind of wander around, and they end up being in reaction mode all day. How many of you guys are in reaction mode? And that's where you wake up and you're basically like white knuckling things through the day and just going. You feel like you're running around like crazy and driving around and speeding between appointments and everything. And the reason is you're just reacting to things as things come. I used to do that. I'll tell you, that was one of the biggest things when I used to own a property management company and had a real estate team at the same time. And that was one of the biggest things that caused the most stress in my day. Was lots of times I would try to fit everything in. I had some things scheduled, but then most of the day I was really just I was in reaction. I was 100% in reaction mode some days. I mean, some days my cell phone would wake me up in the morning, and then I would basically hang up the phone as I'm getting back in bed, and I would literally be in reaction mode all day. I'd be running around like crazy. You can't do anything healthy. You can't do anything healthy for yourself or have a healthy meal because you're too damn busy, right? Because you're in reaction mode. You can't plan. We got to have a schedule, guys. We have to have a schedule. If we only worked on the days we felt like working, we probably would not work much. I think that we all fall in that category. If we only worked on the days we felt like working, we probably wouldn't work very much. The schedule we talked about is going to create accountability. Your goals are going to create accountability. Breaking down those goals into weekly and daily activities. That is the biggest thing that holds me accountable. The thing that holds me accountable is not really my checking account. It's not my significant other. It's not anything else. It's where I have goals and I've broken them down into what I need to do each week. That is the thing that holds me accountable. So, but guys, we got to get excited. We got to get excited. And, I know some of you guys, I've been in the business 14 years. Some of you guys that have been in the business 14 years, some of you guys that have been in the business 5 years. Sometimes it's hard to get excited about what we're doing, right? We got to get excited about what we're becoming. What is this going to lead to? What goal are we going to be able to check off our list? Those are the things we have to get excited about. It's like buying a new car. When you buy a new car that first week, man, it's super exciting. Then after that, the excitement about driving the new car fades. So the thing that you're excited about, it isn't. I mean, I'll tell you this, we're going on a trip this weekend, like I said a little bit ago. I'm not excited about driving the car up there, driving my car or Laura's car up there. Because, I've driven my car and I've driven her car, man, hundreds of times, you know what I mean? I get sick of driving sometimes, right? I'm not excited about driving whatsoever. I'm excited about the destination. I'm excited about what we're going to do when we get there. You know what I mean? I'm excited about being there. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do is we have to have goals and we have to get excited about where we're going. We have to get excited about what we're becoming. Number 4. What do we do when we get stuck? What do we have to do when we get stuck? How do you get unstuck? I think this is really important because we all do this. Guys, one of the things that I've done when I felt like I was getting stuck, when I felt like I was in that routine, when I wasn't really breaking through the next level, I was just kind of maintaining. Maintaining sucks. Maintaining gets old, We all get stuck, Guys, the thing that I've done that really helps me through breaking through that rut, breaking through that little period where it gets stuck, breaking through that plateau is massive action. Going out and taking massive action. I'm going to give you guys just a quick little brief thing. I talked about this extensively in my group coaching, massive action. I don't think a lot of agents understand what massive action is. Sometimes we think that it's going out and spending extra money on Facebook ads. Massive action. You could apply this in a lot of different ways. I'm applying it more in this conversation for the purpose of this conversation. I'm applying it more to going out and getting listings, working with sellers, because that's the way that we're going to control our schedule. We can have 50 listings. All of them can get shown today without us changing out of our pajamas. If we had 50 approved buyers, we wouldn't be able to show them all property this month. Right? And if we tried to show them all property this month, I can guarantee you're going to be canceling things with friends, family, and stuff you want to do. You're not going to be able to have any goals because you're not going to have time because you're going to be dragging buyers around all the time, right? the way that we control our schedule, the way we control our income, the way we control those dips in your business. You know, those months that where, hey, you closed 5 this month, but then you go through 2 months where you get a 0. We control that by having more listings, having more listing inventory, right? And the way that we ramp up is we take massive action. Now, 10 calls a day isn't massive action. I want to talk about this just a second. I hear agents, I've had agents tell me this. They say, oh, well, my office told me to call 15 people a day. Guys, okay, I stole this number from Grant Cardone, but Grant Cardone, he has this thing that was on YouTube I was watching. And I don't know where these statistics come from. I feel like he got them from somewhere, but he said the average person in America makes 8 phone calls a day. So that's the average person. That's your grandma that's retired that sits at home most of the day, right? She's making 8 phone calls a day. So if you're only making 10 calls a day, if you're only making 8 calls a day, you're only average. You're making the average number of calls that a resident or a person in America makes, which it just isn't enough. 10 calls, honestly, you might talk to one person. Like if you get really lucky, you might talk to 2 or 3. But 10 calls is not enough. This is not massive action. So the thing about massive action, for some of you guys, it may be calling 200 people in a day. For some of you guys, it may be calling 500 people in a day. I mean, there are some of you guys that listen to some of my stuff that are just monsters on the phone. You're staying on the phone 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Man, God bless you. But for some agents, 500 might be massive action. But guys, 10 isn't enough. 20 isn't enough. Honestly, for most of the goals that I hear, which it seems like I hear a lot of agents around that 6-figure mark, right around $100,000 is where they want to be. I hear the $100,000 number a lot when talking to agents one-on-one and through messages and stuff. Guys, if you're only making 10 calls a day and you're wanting to get enough listings to make $100,000, you're just not making enough phone calls. Guys, something I encourage you to do, and I encourage every agent to do this, is get every lead you can find and plan out a time to call them. Now, what I'm talking about is taking massive action. Here's an example. Calling up RedX, subscribing to RedX, and getting all the expired listings for the last 2 years from your market. RedX sorts them out with your MLS, so you can sort them out and just get just the ones that don't go on the market. Now, depending on your market, you're probably going to you might get a couple thousand leads, right? If you're using Onyx, you're going to get a little bit more than what you're going to get with the regular RedX service. But guys, going through, subscribing to the for sale by owners for RedX, and literally going and getting all the for sale by owners for the last 2 years. And using these numbers, if you're just dialing with your phone, you can probably dial 40, 50 an hour if you really stay on top of it. If you really stay focused, you can call 40 to 50 an hour. Okay, if you take and you're using a dialer, you might be able to dial one-line dialer. You might be able to call 60, 70 people an hour, right? So if you get 2,000 leads and you're going to call 50 an hour, that's roughly going to take you 40 hours. Can you schedule 40 hours of calls this week? Guys, that is a week of massive action. I guarantee you that if you do that, you use the same script over and over, you stick to the schedule, you stick to that plan, guys, you will get listings. You will get business. If you get 2,000 people, you call 2,000 people this week, and then next week what you do is you turn around and all the people that you didn't get in touch with and all the people that you just didn't get on the phone, what you do next week is you call them again next week. Guys, that's massive action, getting every lead you can find and plan out a time to call them. Maybe you take that 2,000 leads and you try to work through them between Friday and Sunday morning, creating like a 3-day business plan. Hey, I'm going to call through these people. And typically what I find is you'll get 1 to 2% are going to want to do something in the next 30 days. So if you really want to ramp up your business for the next 30 days, do that. Subscribe to RedX. Get every lead you can find from expireds and for sale by owners. in planning out a 2 or 3 day time period, planning out the weekend, planning out this weekend, saying, hey, between Friday and Sunday afternoon, I'm just going to go up to the office. I'm going to lock myself in there and I'm just going to make calls. And I'm going to work through all these people, right? And you'll probably, if you get 2,000, you'll probably end up with somewhere between 20 to 40 people that want to do something in the next 30 to 45 days. And then your job is to follow up with them like a machine and try to get as many of them to sign paperwork with you as possible over the next 30, 45 days. I mean, honestly, that sounds like a good plan. What would you make? What would you make if you took, how would it change your business if you had 20 to 40 leads that want to do something in the next, say, 2 months? How would that change your business, right? That's taking massive action. Calling 10 people tomorrow isn't going to take massive action for you, you know? So number 5, what do we do about negative stuff? You know, sometimes guys, and you know, we talked about this at the beginning, sometimes the negative stuff, sometimes you can't avoid it. You know, I don't want to be negative on the call with you, but sometimes you can't. You know, sometimes stupid stuff finds you. Sometimes stupid stuff happens to you. I think this is a funny thing. I bought a new vehicle. This was last year. I bought a truck, and fortunately, it had one of those reinforced hitches in it. You know, where you put the insert in it. And I had a trailer hitch in the back of it. And guys, I had 3 people running the back of me, literally in like 2.5 weeks. I mean, it was just, hey, none of it was my fault. They just ran in the back of me, right? Sometimes, and lots of times it'd be like, hey, I was parked at, well, every one of them was, I was parked at like a stoplight. Next thing I know, somebody just bumps me, you know, and it would destroy the front of their car. And literally, I think it like scratched my bumper, you know. Sometimes we can't avoid it. You know, guys, we're all in one of 3 places. We're either in the middle of something, we either just got through something or we got something coming up we don't even know anything about. And guys, if we're not in one of those 3 places ourselves, somebody close to us is, whether it's a spouse, a significant other, a mother, a father, a child. If we're not in one of those 3 places, somebody really close to us is, and we're having to help them through it, right? Or we just help them through it. We're all in that. So what we got to do with all this negative stuff and things that happen to us is we have to keep in check what's called emotional endurance. Have you guys ever heard of this term? Emotional endurance, I'm going to tell you what it is. Emotional endurance is how long are you down when something bad happens? When one of those negative things happens, how long are you down before things pop back up? And we all have different emotional endurances, and I think that different points in our lives and different points in our mindset, we have different emotional endurances. You know, like, you ever met that person that something happened to them 5 years ago, and it's 5 years later, they just can't get over it, you know? I mean, it could, and I'm not making fun of anybody, I'm not talking down about anybody or anything, but some of us will have something just really minor happen. Maybe we get cut off at the stoplight, right? Something that's not even a big deal, and it just ruins the rest of our day. Guys, we gotta pay attention to our emotional endurance. And just you guys listen to this, hopefully you become self-aware of it and kind of check yourself a little bit. At least you'll know, like, you know, hey, I'm down. I need to do something to get back up, you know, and I need to do something to change my state. Emotional endurance and being aware of your emotional endurance, I think, is one of the most important things that a lot of us don't do. You know, it's like how many of us get mad, and we get mad over something, we just can't let it go, and it just literally controls us for like a week, right? We have to put ourselves in a position where those days where we feel sad, those days when we feel bad, that day that, you know, we hear something that makes us a little bit sad, you know, and instead, I'm not saying it isn't serious in your life, but you know, once we become aware of it, instead of us sitting around and moping about something for 3 days, maybe we deal with it for 3 minutes and then we just move on to something else. One of the things that one of the guys that works for me, he goes, man, you just never get mad. We were talking about some things that went on during that day, and one of the things I've learned is me getting mad doesn't really do anything for any of us. It doesn't do anything for me, because once I get mad and I start dwelling on it and I start harping on that thing, man, I'm mad all damn day and I don't do anything else but be mad, right? But if I kind of look at it and I just go, oh, okay, well, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, or I need to do this, this, and this, and I just go through it really quick, I know I can move on really quick, because I know what my emotional endurance is. I know that if I allow myself to get mad, that I'll dwell on it for 2 days, right? But guys, we got to check ourselves and those around us. And the reason why we got to do that is because some of these things, when you have bad stuff coming in your life, when you have negative stuff coming in your life, sometimes it's because of those around us. And the crazy thing is negativity is contagious. One of the things I remember, like reading a lot of sales books and stuff when I first kind of got into sales back when I worked at Sears, when I was in college and stuff. I remember reading a lot of sales books back then, and when I got in the real estate business, and one of the things they talked about is being exciting, right? If I'm excited, all of a sudden everybody's going to get excited, because excitement is contagious. Guys, I believe that negativity is way more contagious than excitement. And we all see this, man. Man, all of us, it doesn't matter who you are or what you say, all of us love some sort of gossip, right? We all love, and I'll tell you, I'll get to your questions here in just a second. I'm just going to get through this real quick. Then I got plenty of time for questions, and I'll answer that one about reduce emotional endurance time. But guys, I think negativity is more contagious than excitement. I think negativity is probably more contagious than the stomach virus your kid brings home. We all, and I guess it's just human nature. We all want to know about something. We all want to know about the latest gossip. We all want to know about stuff. And we all know those people that are in our office that literally that's all that goes on during the day. As they talk about how bad the market is, they talk about how somebody's doing something bad, how somebody's doing something illegal. Oh, they're getting a lot of business because they're doing something wrong, right? Guys, negativity is contagious, and we have to check those around us. And we have to put ourselves in situations that we can avoid that negative energy. So guys, I want to help you in your business. I want you guys to know this. Everybody's listening to this. I want to help you in your business. That's why I've done these free webinars. That's why I've done a lot of things I've done, the books and stuff that I've written. I'm actually published in 6 books on Amazon now, which is wild. My original goal is I want to be published in 1. And I think it's been like 2 or 3 years. And I'm actually published in 6, and all of them have been somewhat bestsellers. All of them have been on the bestsellers list of Amazon. So guys, if you subscribe to my group coaching tonight, you get 65% off my group coaching. Just use the coupon code Agent Mastermind at Jason Morris Group Coaching. Guys, I'm here to answer your questions tonight. I want to answer questions. I want to help you with your business. If you guys have questions about what we talked about, I want to answer them. So how do you reduce, and I'm assuming you're talking about reducing emotional endurance time. I think the way that you reduce emotional endurance time the most is being self-aware of it. Being self-aware that that when you get into certain situations, when certain things happen, when you get mad, that you stay mad, right? I think that I think some of it's conditioning. I think some of it's the ability to change your state that will reduce the emotional endurance. And what I mean by state is, how like when when you're driving down the road and you hear a song come on the radio. I relate this to music because I think that's pretty universal for us all. But you're driving down the road, you hear that song that comes on the radio, and immediately you have that feeling, and it takes you back to being in high school or whatever. Guys, if we pay attention to the way certain things make us feel, like music, I think music's just the biggest one for all of us. When we're driving down like I got a song right now, it's by DJ Dylan Francis, that when I hear that song, man, I'm just ready to go. Like, I like it. It makes me happy. It's fun, Even the video, even the YouTube video is like really damn fun, Black Eyed Peas, that song, I Got a Feeling. Like, how can you listen to I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas and not feel good about it, right? But I think little things like that break that pattern for you. Everything's a pattern. Even anger, sadness, all these different feelings and emotions we have, all of them are patterns. And if we pay attention to those patterns and we learn how to break those patterns, you can reduce that emotional endurance time to very little. You know, something that normally you'd get mad and you'd stay mad about it all day, or you'd have a nasty phone call when you're calling sellers and then you just don't call anymore the rest of the day. I mean, we all have stuff like that. But if we can learn how to break that pattern for ourselves, and then we can change the state that we're in. And I really believe that if we pay attention to our state, the state that we're in, we pay attention to the things that change our state, then we can put ourselves in a position where we are happy a lot of the time, maybe all the time, which is crazy. Like, people don't think you could be happy all the time. Happiness is just the state that you're in, you know? It's like fear, most of the time we're doing things for fear or pleasure. Sometimes you can use fear because fear will help you avoid pleasure or pain, but sometimes you can use fear and pain to do something that brings you pleasure. Listing all the reasons why, all the things that you're scared of. Hey, if you don't get on the phone, if you don't sell more real estate, what's going to happen? Are you going to have to go back and work at the mall? Are you going to have to go back to the job that you had before? To break that pattern, what do you do? How do you distract yourself? I think it's different for everybody. Like, how do you distract yourself and how do you break the pattern? I think it's a little bit different for everybody. Usually it's doing something out of the ordinary. Tony Robbins talks a lot about this, about breaking the patterns. And sometimes it's by physical activity, jumping up and down or something, dancing or whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, But yeah, I think music is a big one. I think music's a big one for a lot of people, like when you're on the way to the office in the morning, you're going to make calls. What if every single morning you listen to like those 5 songs that just put you like in this super, like, go out there and crush the world type mood? You know what I mean? Like, how much better would you feel when you got to the office and make calls, But you have to look for things like yourself, pay attention to your emotional state. I think self-awareness is the biggest thing, though. But Cody asked, what are your thoughts on part-time agents? Cody, I don't have anything against part-time agents. I know that there's a lot of agents that feel like part-time agents are taking business away from other people. There are a lot of agents that feel that way, but I think you gotta have a goal in mind. Like, if your goal, man, is to sell 2 or 3 properties a year, honestly, the business is expensive and it's hard. Like 2 or 3 is just not enough in most markets. If your goal is to go from part-time to full-time, I think you need a plan. I think you got to have a schedule for yourself the same way. I think you got to set goals and have a schedule. I think if you're going to commit to financially, to being a real estate agent with education requirements and everything else, I think that you need to have some kind of goal for success. And then I think you need to work that goal backwards, and you need to set yourself up a plan. And I mean, I didn't get in the coaching program. I joined my coaching, man. If that's what you want to do, send me a message. I'll try to help you. Let's see. So Susan, hey Susan, I finally got a Fibonacci lead that tells me I'm on a short list of 3 agents. What would I do? So you already sent your pre-listing package. I'd call and follow up, make sure he got it, see if he has any questions. That'd be like my first follow-up call. Then from there on out, like, if you think he's going to list soon, I'd start calling like every couple of days. And I would call him. Every call would have a sense of urgency. Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris from eXp. Hey, I know we talked the other day. Hey, look, there's a house that just went under contract down the road. I was doing some research for some buyers. There's a house right down the road from you that just went under contract. for whatever price it went under contract. Man, that takes one out of the marketplace. There's not a lot of inventory within a mile or so of your house or in that school district. I'd start looking at stats, and that's what I'd start talking about with him. I'd look at smart stats that agents don't typically look at, like what's the inventory like in the school district? Because school districts matter. A lot of agents don't talk about that. Hey, Mr. Seller, Jason Morris. Hey, I want to give you a call. I was doing some research and I had a couple things I want to talk about. You got a couple of minutes here? Look, in the school district you're in, a lot of people want to be in that school district. Now, I was doing some research and 3 are pending right now. Looks like if we put yours on the market today, this is where you're going to be priced. I feel like we need to get it on there before more inventory comes on the market. Because I know, Susan, you're in a down market. And that's one of the things I'd keep saying. Guys, if we wait, the market looks like it's going down. If we continue to wait, there's going to be a house that's going to be cheaper than what you're wanting to sell for. That would be my sense of urgency. Guys, it feels like the market's going down. Statistics are saying the market goes down. If you've got to sell and you continue to wait, there's going to be one cheaper than you that comes available. That would be one of the things I would actually talk a lot about that. So what other questions do you guys have? Let's see, in your last video on YouTube, you had a link for a pre-listing package and a for sale owner script. It's not live anymore. Any chance to make it live for a few days? You know what? I think that, let's see, I think it's still live. It should be Jason Morris pre-listing package.com. So yeah, check that out. Jason Morris prelistingpackage.com. It should email you. It should email you my a link to download my pre-listing package, and it has a video and stuff. And you should get the for sale owner script and all that stuff in it too. A for sale owner script is pretty universal, but yeah, that should be that should be live. Jason Morris prelistingpackage.com. Let's see. Are you talking about the San Francisco Bay? I'll tell you this. I know a lot of like universal stuff. Like I got some friends that are in the San Francisco Bay area. I will tell you, if I was in a busy market like you guys are, and my market's going steady, but it's not crazy like some of the markets in California. I hear Denver's really crazy. I heard it slowed down a little bit. I've heard Dallas is crazy. If I was in a market like you guys, I would, the number one thing you got to do is you got to have a follow-up plan, and I'd follow up like crazy. When I had somebody that I had a meaningful conversation with, right? Somebody that told me somebody I had a meaningful conversation, meaning that they told me all the reasons they want to sell. They told me their deep, dark secrets, I would follow up with them like crazy. I think once a week at a minimum with a lot of these people. That is the biggest thing. I'd have a pre-listing package and a follow-up plan. I'd write it all out. What am I going to follow up with this week? What am I going to follow up with next week? That way I don't even have to think about it. I'd have all my hot leads in a notebook. I wouldn't use a CRM, and I'd follow up like a damn machine. And I'd have that pre-listing package. Even in a market like yours, there's a lot of really smart agents in San Francisco Bay Area. There's a lot of agents, number one. Number two, there's a lot of smart agents in that market, right? But I'll tell you this, I still bet, out of all the agents that have pre-listing packages and marketing packages, out of all the agents that have that, there's probably very few that are using it. And yes, I can help you in your market. I've got agents that are in tough markets like yours right now that are doing well in my group coaching. Yeah, I guarantee you the stuff that I talk about can help you. But that's what I do. Follow-up plan is going to be the best, but having that whole system, having that replicable system where you're doing it over and over again, that way you know what's going to happen each time you do it. You know how sellers are going to respond, Cody, the number one piece of it, advice for any agent, man, number one is I would get really, really good at scripts. I'd get really good at scripts, man. I'll tell you, the biggest mistake I made in the real estate business was when I first got in it. I got introduced to the phone. There was a guy, and I was working at this office. There's probably 60, 70 agents there. And I remember going to an office meeting, and at this time, up until this meeting, I thought the way to do business was to send out a lot of mail and hope somebody called you, right? And I was literally a broke college kid. I've been in probably been in every situation that you guys have been, but I was literally a broke college kid. I mean, I remember writing a check for my rent on a Wednesday and dropping it in the mail after 5 because I knew if I dropped it after 5, it wouldn't go out to Thursday and they probably wouldn't get it to Saturday or Monday. And I knew my paycheck would get deposited on Friday, so it would cover the check. I don't know if you guys have been there, but I was there when I first started the real estate business. Um, but the thing I would do was man, I was a machine, dude. Once I got introduced to the phone, there was this guy in the back of the office, and he was crushing everybody as far as number of listings. And first thing he told me, I said, "Man, how much mail do you do every week?" And he goes, "I don't do any mail. I pick up the phone and call people." And it was kind of like a light bulb went off, and I was like, "Really? You just call people and say, 'Hey, you want to sell your house?'" And he's like, "Yeah." And he listed property like crazy. So I started getting on the phone, and when I first started, I said, "Oh, I don't want to use scripts because, they sound scripted." I'd sold like appliances and tools and lawnmowers at Sears, I was like, "Oh, I don't need a script." People just like me. And that is one thing that I'm fortunate that typically like people liked me, right? But I was really good at telling people what they wanted to hear so I could get my foot in the door. Now, once I got my foot in the door, I think that I tried to stay there thinking I'd wear them down until they signed the paperwork. The craziest thought that I had was that sometimes they'd invite me to dinner and stuff like that. And I go, "Oh, these people love me. They invited me to dinner." They didn't invite me to dinner because they loved me. I live in South Carolina, and generally people are pretty hospitable here. They're pretty nice. You know what I mean? They were inviting me to dinner because shit, they didn't think I was going to leave their house. Um, Now, once I discovered like the purpose of scripts, the power of scripts, that whole scripted dialogue, where you ask the same questions over and over, and you kind of learn what the responses are, and you ask the same question, you're going to get the same objections, and once you get that same objection, 10 times, 100 times, you're going to build that muscle memory. And that is, man, Cody, that's the thing I would tell you to do, man, is start practicing scripts immediately. That's the thing I would tell any agent wanting to work on sellers. Get a script, man. Stick to the script. The biggest thing I see agents do is they'll use one script, then they'll go in a Facebook group and they'll see a post where an agent goes, "Set 3 appointments today." And they go, "Oh, what script did you use?" And they go, "Oh, I used the Grapety Grape Realty script. That's fantastic." And they say, "Oh, can you send it to me?" So that script they've been using for 4 days, they just started learning the questions and it just started becoming natural. They switched to Grapety Grape Real Estate script, and then they got to relearn the questions again. They got to relearn the questions. They got to relearn the objections they're going to get. They got to relearn all the answers they're going to get to the questions. And it's basically starting over. They never get the opportunity to build that muscle memory, Um, Ron asked, "What do you make of a seller that you've talked to a couple of times who says they're definitely going to sell, but now every follow-up call goes to voicemail?" Um, Now every follow-up goes to voicemail. I'll tell you what I do, man. I've actually got 2 phone numbers. I got my cell phone, and then I got a Google Voice number I use. Sometimes when I got that happening, and it's going on over and over again, it's been happening for weeks, dude, I'll call them from my other phone number. Call them from your office phone, right? Now that's one trick that I've done, Ron, and that's worked sometimes. But I'll tell you what it is, man. Don't quit following up with them, guys. I get this belief that we're all the same, and sometimes we get, you know, hey, sometimes, Ron, they're not answering your phone because, hey, dude, it's the middle of the summer. Their kids are out of school. And when they get off work, they're doing stuff with their kids out in the yard or outside or whatever it is, or they're on vacation. But I guarantee they're probably seeing you call and they see your voicemail. Now, you could try calling at different times. If you've been calling in the morning and following up, you might want to try in the afternoon. Might want to try 6:30, 7 o'clock. Might want to try on the weekend. Have like a crazy sense of urgency too. Like when you call, say, "Hey, Ron, Jason Morris from eXp Realty. Hey, man, I've been trying to get in touch with you. We got a lot of exciting things. There's a house down the street that just went pending, and I know you wanted $150,000 for your house, and that one down the road went pending is $150,000, and I think your house is nicer than theirs," or whatever it is. You don't want to lie, but you want to have a strong sense of urgency when you do get to talk to them. But do not quit following up with them. If you quit following up, another agent will take that listing from you. You need to build a mindset that's your client. Hey, that's my client, right? That's my client. And if I quit following up with them, somebody's going to take my client. Guys, one of the things that I like to do is I have a follow-up notebook. And in the corner, I like to write how much commission that listing is worth. Right. And I think that's pretty motivational to walk around with a notebook and go, man, I got this notebook that, is full of hot leads, basically sellers like that you had some meaningful conversations with. Hey, it's full of hot leads. And here in the next 60 days, I got $150,000 worth of listings that can list in the next 60 days, right? List in the next 90 days, whatever it is. But I feel like that's like extremely motivational, but don't quit following up with them, man. Just, sometimes you might want to add an extra follow-up call or add a different time. So Pretty asked, do you have a preference of whose script? I actually use my own. They're in my group coaching. They're in the file section of my group coaching. Now, I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you where my scripts come from. I've been in the business 14 years. Guys, I am always in a program. I'm always in a program. I've done real estate coaching. I was in real estate coaching programs for years. I was in all this different stuff, and mine just kind of evolved out of what really worked for me. One of the things I learned though was a lot of coaches, they'll have these scripts and they really hadn't been active in the real estate business in a long time. And the thing is about your market is everybody's busy in the Bay Area. Everybody's busy in New York. Hey, everybody's busy in Myrtle Beach, right? They don't have a lot of time. A lot of the scripts out there have questions that are about as relevant as, hey, are you going to take your cat with you when you move, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with the sale of the house. A lot of my scripts are more like a conversation. They're short. They're to the point. They close, right? And that's what you need. You need to be short, to the point, close. None of this beating around the bush. None of this, hey, I want to preview your house. I think that's bullshit, where an agent calls you up and says, hey, Ron, Jason Morris here, man. I see you got this for sale owner. I'd like to come over and preview it. And then they get there and they try to flip you over to list the house with them. I kind of think it's bullshit, dude. I'm very upfront. I'm extremely upfront. I am a real estate agent. The only reason I'm calling you is because I believe I can sell your house. One of the follow-up things, I'll tell you this, one of the follow-up things that probably my favorite follow-up thing is after you've been following up with that seller and they're doing the same thing that they're doing to you, Ron, where you're just going to voicemail. When I do finally get them on the phone, I just go, hey, Ron, Jason Morris with EXP. We talked a few weeks back. Man, look, I know I've been calling you. The reason I'm calling you is because I'll tell you, I'm really busy, but I sell houses. If I didn't think I could sell your house, I wouldn't keep calling you. I know you want to sell your house. When do you want me to start working for you? Would Tuesday at 2 work for you? You dictate the time. Think about this. When you call the dentist office, and you say, hey, I want to get my teeth cleaned. They don't just say, hey, come on in when you feel like it. Typically they say, hey, we've got an appointment time on this date and this time, right? The reason that happens is because we are indecisive. If you ask them, hey, Ron, well, what time works best for you? Number one, it makes it appear that you don't have nothing going on. Nobody wants to work with a guy that doesn't have anything going on, right? Nobody wants to. If you call up in a random attorney out of the phone book, he says, yeah, come on down. We'll probably be here at the office. Come on down when you feel like it. You probably shouldn't hire that attorney. But the reason why they dictate the time is because people are indecisive. And one of the biggest mistakes I see agents do is they say, hey, what time works best for you? And the seller on the other end of the phone says something like, well, let me talk to my wife and get back with you. You created the opportunity for them to have an objection for you. You created that objection by asking that question. If you said, hey, does Tuesday work for you? And they said, oh, no, I can't do it Tuesday. You go, no problem. Will you be at work Tuesday? And they say, oh, yeah, I work on Tuesday. Oh, fantastic. Do you normally work 9 to 5? And they say, oh, yeah. Then you have the opportunity. Hey, well, What if I came at 6? I give you enough time to get home and kind of get settled a few minutes before I get there. If they tell you no, hey, what if I come on Saturday? Hey, I'll be in your area on Saturday morning. How about if I stop by around 11? Right? Um, but you got to dictate the time to when you make those statements. What other questions do you guys have? I got a few more minutes here. I'll spend with you. Hey, John, what you up to, man? Well, guys, hey, I really appreciate you guys being on the call with me today. If you have any questions, send me a message through Facebook. Join my group coaching. Use the coupon code Agent Mastermind at jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com. It's $35 a month. It's month to month using that code. And hey, guys, I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you guys have a great night.